Hello, round two. The first stream didn't work very well because I didn't have Annie. Annie was muted. So we're back. I'm Ren. I'm technical designer at UX is Fine. I work at UX is Fine with Annie, not in the same projects. But this is the. I'm going to show you the UX is Fine website quickly, and then we'll jump on to Annie introducing herself. But so uh, I just wanted to mention that one of the projects that Annie got the pleasure of working on is Wildcard, which is on our website, and look at this. This is awesome. I wish I got to work on this. This looks beautiful. Look at all these cool flows and stuff. So we're going to explore what is UI and UX design, differences, the principles, a couple of the tools of the trade. We're gonna look into these things. So without taking up more of this, I'll jump over to the Figma and Annie, introduce yourself. Let us know about yourself. This time you're audible.
Sure.
You're audible this time. I promise.
Yes, testing, testing.
Yes.
All good. So hi, my name's Annie. I've been a UX designer at UX is Fine for almost 2 years now, which is crazy to think about. I got started in UX design actually in university. That has it's already been around like 3, 4 years since then. Um, and I learned about UX design through just being around a lot of people in tech. So I got in through the tech side of UX design, and it wasn't until later that I learned that you could do UX design in games as well. So before that, I worked at a bunch of startups. I worked at a bunch of big tech companies before I decided that, hey, I want to try doing this in games and see how that differs. And we could talk about a bit more about that later on as well. But I studied psychology, which has really actually helped me in this role because a lot of what UX design is about like player behavior, just research and like knowing more about how the mind works and how that can be applied to making really great games.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. So I find it really interesting that you went from industry to industry because a lot of people I see on our streams are always asking, like, how do I break out into this? And so the tools are probably the
Hmm.
same. The thinking has obviously some crossover and some real value. Um, I'm just scrolling again through the website, and as you were saying, like, uh, just a lot of the things that you were mentioning, I can actually see in practice over here. But You've got
Yeah.
you've got the Figma open there. So let's look at one of these tools. So anyone working in UX design, I imagine in either these tech corps or looking into games are going to be using the same sort of tooling. So what is this tool? How does it work? What do we use it for?
Yeah. So this is the infamous Figma.
Mm.
It's been used in the industry for quite a number of years. Before that, interestingly enough, its competitor Sketch was the popular one, but now Figma has overcome that because it just has so many more quality of life improvements to it that designers really like. So essentially what it is just one big huge whiteboard that you can just put anything on. So for example, here I have some screenshots. um, you can just like place anything on here. And what is really cool about this is you can actually prototype in here as well. So if you don't want to go directly into a game engine, I would suggest that you start mapping out what you want to make here first. So
So
I have like
you
a
can
really
actually
quick
animate in
prototype.
here. You say you can animate in here.
Yes, you can actually animate in here.
Oh, what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you could essentially, I don't know if you can see this if you follow me here, but so these are just screens of just like we would try to strip the IP away from this so we don't have to go into like the details of what this game was, but essentially you could just start mapping out where exactly you want the HUD to be, how you actually want these like toggles and menus to work. And essentially like this is just a really good space to almost like storyboard that game as well and design the game before you put it into engine so you get like a visual of how you want this game to go and like where you want things to be placed. And this is a very gray boxed version of this because one of the principles of UX is that we want this to be really functional, and we don't want like visuals to really distract from the functionality of the game first, because while we really do want really cool concept art, like really cool visuals and animation, we first and foremost want to make sure like, hey, is this easy to read? Is this too much information in one space? Is the HUD like, is it clear to me what the player will look at first? So Figma itself here is can be kind of a learning curve, but I would also suggest if you are a developer, feel free to play around. I think it's a really great tool to just get your thoughts on the board here.
Awesome, yeah. And so when you're looking at this, you mentioned like leading the player's eye around the screen. You've got a lot of information to show. How do you manage? Where do you start when you think about that? So here we've got stats, we've got some call to action on like different buttons that we can press in the bottom right. We've got a bunch of stuff at the top. There's just so much stuff going on, and my eye, I will say, is immediately led sort of to the 45 yellow on the left there, for example.
Mhm.
And everything is sort of leading down to the left in the design. Is that intentional, or what are the sort of intentions and the thought process you go through when you're, like you say, when you're leading that player through that experience and hoping to give them the best experience with
Yeah.
that interface?
Yeah, so unfortunately, I didn't have what I wasn't able to work on this project a lot. So, and the projects that I do work on are NDA. So I would love to just go into my thought process for a project, but
Hmm.
I can't say like very briefly in general
Yeah.
just really think about what the main purpose and the goal that you want the player to do in a specific, I guess, like menu or like a certain stage of the game. So for example here, this is a player select or character select actually, and the most important part of a character select is being able to first add your character, figure out like what are the specific stats for that character, and also being able to compare it to like another character you might add to this roster. I don't
Hmm.
think I have exact example here. But first and foremost, you just need to be able to understand, like, hey, like, what is the most important thing a player needs to see on this screen, and the most important thing that player needs to like be able to do on the screen. So, how easy is it for them to just add a character to each of these spaces here? And you can see like just one simple button toggle
Hmm.
can like add it to the roster there, and having just like very simple like, oh, immediately I know, okay, so this character has 30 speed, 35 balance, 45 trick
Which I guess is their like
stats.
their special skill with the highlight. Yeah.
Exactly. Essential skill. So be able to make sure that all the information they need is there and isn't overloaded with too much information. And a lot of this knowledge you will get from just like theoretical UX. So like a really great one to learn about is like laws of UX. So like the aesthetic usability effects, something that is prettier, users might perceive to work better. And there's a lot of those as well. But I think the most important thing in UX isn't just the theoreticals, but being able to actually like play test and research and experiment. So what I mean by this is like once you've made like a game or like maybe even just a prototype, put it in front of the eyes of your players and be able to actually get data to see like, hey, are my players actually or like has the goal of this screen or like this part of the game succeeded?
Were there any
And because you
like,
can like
yeah, yeah, go on.
guys all the time. Yeah, but
Hmm.
you really do need to just like actually get in front of real players to test it out.
Yeah, I never know what to do when I do that. So I put the game in front of players, and it's like, should I record them? Should I ask them anything? I should probably not tell them anything. What are the sort of
Hmm.
things that you could advise us, like when we put this in front of a player? Say it's even our best friend or someone at a show floor. Like, what's the best things we could do to get the most out of that short interaction?
Yeah, that's a really great question because there's actually an entire field surrounding how to best play test or how to best do user research. Because like there are mistakes you can make as an interviewer that will bias your results. So for example, make sure to not ask leading questions. And what leading questions are essentially like priming a player to respond a certain way because you ask something like, so did you like the game? And they might be prompted to feel like, oh yeah, well, like this is your game, I'm going to say yes, I love this, like I had a great time. But you don't want to ask like those kind of leading questions, and just be more open-ended in general. Just like observations of like, oh, like can you talk through why you ran through this obstacle instead of investigating more. These are very like general, just because I can't really say really specific
Yeah, yeah.
examples right now. basically there are also different ways to play test. So you can either do like just full on observational, like you put a player in a room, no one else is there, and you just kind of watch them play and see what they do first, see what they like instantly gravitate towards, and see what problems or obstacles they find like during playing your game. You can also just do like a interview after they play,
Yeah.
just to kind of like get a sense of like like what did they find fun, or what did they find really stressful and frustrating. So there are just like a lot of different ways to play test, and I think that's the hardest part for you for as a dev, like how am I going to test out this game. But essentially like just really figure out like clearly define your goals. Like, are you going to be testing a specific mechanic? Are you just going to be testing how well the onboarding process was? And being able to do that, like it could require you to just get a researcher, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it's very very valuable to get those insights.
Yeah, and I know that there's something like, testing to the right people as well. So one of the things I've been
Exactly.
exposed to but haven't really made one of is like, user personas, or um, like testing this game UI with my mom might not be the best person.
Exactly, yeah, like who is your target audience? Are you is the game mainly for like small children,
Hmm,
or so like millennials, people who maybe don't game as often? You might get different results from more senior and veteran players versus just really casual new players.
yeah, sweet. Well, let's take a look at like building something quickly. Like I'm interested to see, I don't know, like recreate something on here, maybe like the little player item in the top left. Like, is that something that's simple to whip up? Where it's got like
Yeah,
the player
honestly,
name and stuff. I'm interested to see the tool in action.
yeah, let's make a really quick little player button. Let's try to recreate this thing right here. And what I would usually do first is just get a frame. So what a frame is basically just like a little board for yourself. And in here, you can put, let's say this player profile. And you can put anything in here and it'll be the player profile.
Mhm.
And what I'm actually going to do here is I am going to turn off the fill so that we can put a little rectangle. And this is, if you are familiar with Illustrator, this will be very familiar to you because this Figma is a vector-based program. And as you can see here, you'll see these little dots. And let's just pull that in and you can round out the corners.
Yeah,
And on the side here, you just have a bunch of um, essentially like stuff you can do to whatever object you have selected. So I could change the positioning. So like if this is a little off center, then I can just center it again. Um, and as you can see, like when I did that, this frame basically kind of hid where that
yeah, like a mask.
rectangle went, like a mask, yeah. So it's because I have clip content on. And sometimes that's very useful if you want to just like build something and then have only a section of it appear. And that could be really useful for when you create like these like scrolls or carousels. But I don't think we really need that. I'm just going to turn that off. And so now you can see, even though this frame is this big, this item is still up there. Yeah, yeah, Ren, if you actually want to like
I'm trying to follow
do it,
along. Right, so player
yeah,
profile.
follow along. That would be
All
really
right,
fun.
so I got this, and then I've got the clip content thing. Where's the corners? Because it's hard to see on the stream. Um, I've got a rotation option. I've got position, alignment, position, rotation. Then I've got layout, flow,
Hmm.
dimensions. I've got appearance, fill. I remember you mentioning that.
Hmm.
Got stroke
So
options. Oh, it's this
if you
dot, isn't
notice
it?
here, it's because, yeah, you have this as a fill. So it's not a shape right now, and that's why you can't really round out the corners. So I would just turn off that fill for now in your frame.
Turn off the photo. Just press minus on it. Oh,
Yeah.
it's gone. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you can always add it back later if you would like. But at the bottom there, do you see the little toolbar in your bottom?
Yeah.
There is a shapes tool, and you can select the rectangle and just put a rectangle anywhere into this frame here.
Okie dokie.
Yeah, when you let go, you will see the little circles on the corners, and that
Yes.
is you, yeah, routing out the radius.
We've caught up. Oh yeah, and now it's like clipping, like you said, right? When I pull it around my
Mm,
frame, which is nice. So my frame acts as my little canvas, and I
yes,
can
your little
move that around.
canvas.
I'll just size
Mhm.
this up so I get something a little bit more matching what you've got there. Oh, that's interesting. More circly there.
More circly, yeah. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add another shape, actually. We're going to add a circle. Oh, before that, just going to change the color of my little rectangle to something just a bit darker. And when you want to change your color, just go to Fill,
Hmm.
click on that rectangle. Yeah, you could also color pick with the sample color
Oh,
button
right, yeah.
in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to turn this kind of dark because I want it to be slightly darker.
Color pick to yours.
And I'm And
Okay.
if you notice, there's a stroke on your frame. Feel free to get rid of that or keep it. Up to you how you want to build
So,
that. But
let's see. Learning Figma today, and
yeah,
everyone in the stream is learning with me.
yes. Oh, actually, I know you work in Engine a lot, Ren,
I
but
do.
this is something I learned from other developers is how to best export your assets. So,
Hmm.
um, like, what is that thing where it's like multiples of 8 are the best dimensions? I don't know
Yeah,
if you've
yeah.
heard of that.
Powers of
Yeah,
two or
so
multiples of eight. Yeah.
powers of 2. Yeah, so here actually, something I almost just forgot was like if I were to make this again, I would make sure that these are like multiples of 8 or multiples of 2. So on the side there, at the layout, like I could turn this to instead of so currently my rectangle is 139. I would just turn that to 132 just to keep it like pixel perfect almost. So when I export it, I don't have to resize everything again.
Yeah, I'm trying it. So let's go. Now I've got 128. So, well, I'm going in powers of two rather than multiples of eight, I suppose. But let's
Yeah,
try.
that's fine. So I
Does
think
that
mine
work
should
then?
be
Because that's something I've always done. It's like everything I've ever exported is 32 by 32 or 64 by 64. But I could do 8 by 16, which is 128. Turns out. Let's do 8 by 24. That's too big. Let's do uh, 8 by 20. This might still be too big. But so yeah, like a 160. Is that still going to render okay? I guess so.
I think it should. Yeah.
Still uniform. It's still
132 should be good.
oh, you've got it exactly the same. I see.
Yeah. I'm just trying to copy exactly what was here in
Oh yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
mockup,
yeah.
but you could definitely make yours different as well because I actually do enjoy this, just having that little bit of space
Yeah.
around. Yeah.
I like.
Um, let's
Okay.
see. Yeah. So if you actually click on this circle,
Hmm.
you might find a little circle here that you hover on the right, and you can
Oh yeah.
hover over it. It says arc. Yeah.
Whoa.
For that, yeah, that means you can make little pie charts. You could just yeah play around with
Waka
that,
waka waka
and
waka
then
waka.
you can see that yeah, it looks like a little Pac-Man. You can see like there's three other dots that appear,
Yeah.
and let's click on the middle one and let's just
Hmm.
drag it out, and we could make
Oh,
something like
like a
that, like a
progress. Okay.
little progress bar. Yeah, a little
Nice.
progress bar.
That's really cool.
I'm just gonna keep it this shape. Feel free to pick any color. I'm just gonna pick, let's do like a little, like a turquoise.
Hey, bring it to the front. No, bring it. I want to bring this one to the. I'm just messing
Yeah,
now that you've taught me that, and I'm like, I'm gonna make a quick progress bar.
yeah, feel
There we
free.
go.
Yeah, but that's a good idea. I definitely also want to add just like a little background
Almost
black.
like a player level bar or something.
Yes. I'm gonna move my start to the top middle there. And while I'm doing that, I just want to quickly mention something about UX design. Like
Hmm.
right now, we are playing with shapes. We are just putting stuff on the board, but uh, bigger picture wise, we got to think about like, will this make sense to a player? Like at a glance, hell yeah, this looks like a progress bar, and players will know what that is. But just being able to think like, well, players know what this means. And also, after gray boxing, that is a UI artist might come in here or will come in here and just give it like a nice reskin, uh, just putting on the textures and the colors that we really want. And we could get into that a bit later.
Yeah.
Alrighty. And from
Okay.
there on, let's add in some text. So on the bottom toolbar there, you'll see the little T for text.
I guess you could
And
press.
oh,
I did. I
my font.
automatically did tooltip. Or I automatically pressed T and just did that, and that's also worked.
Yes, there's a bunch of Figma shortcuts which I haven't had the time to really learn, which I probably should. But those are super useful. It's like your little Figma or like Photoshop shortcuts. Same thing. Those will get your workflow to be faster. I just haven't had the time to do so, which I probably should.
Should we do here? How do you? So I notice you pick your numbers real fast, real quick, and easy. Is that just based off of memory? Like I know this is a 152 unit circle, so when I'm doing my font, I know I need a size of. I mean, if I used 152, I guess it would fill that space perfectly. So
Yeah, so I kind of just like I just do multiplication and like
yeah, yeah,
divide by like a or something. It's like muscle memory at this point. Um, I think before when I first started, I would just pick random
yeah. Exactly.
font sizes
That's
and see what
basically what
worked.
I did. I was like,
Mhm.
but yeah.
Yeah.
So with some experience, those pixels do matter, and they help you speed up that process because you kind of just
Yes,
get a feel for it. Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. I'm gonna go
Oh, there's one
64.
thing I forgot to mention, which I wish I could really show here, but this is like a brand new Figma file, is that you can actually add um, like a set font size. I could just pick from the little four buttons. So these are called textile. So if you look at the on the right in typography, there's that little
Yeah.
button with the four circles,
Oh yeah.
and there you can like have a set text style. So you can just pick like, oh, your header is always going to be 24, and then your body font's always going to be like maybe like 12 or something,
Yeah.
and you can always
I
just
do
have it set
this.
to that.
I do this in Engine as well. So when we're working with like Common UI or something in Unreal, and I'm sure Unity has like USS styles or UXML styles as well. Like we set those up as early as possible, so it's like quick and easy to like blanket edit across the project, right?
Hmm.
So
Yes, exactly. And you could do that same here in Figma as well. I'm sure like there's like components in Engine as well, right? And you can also just turn this later once we're done, we can turn this to a component that we can reuse across multiple screens. And whenever we have a change, just changing one of them will change all the rest. That'll be super convenient when we create even more screens within your game.
is there a thought process behind why you darken the 16 so it's not the
I
same
think
value,
it's
or is it
just so
just choice? I don't know.
so
Yeah.
it's kind of like I forget the exact theory for this, but it's like proximity and similarity. So when a player sees maybe this color with like the number being the same color, they can automatically assume that,
Yeah.
oh, these are connected. Like this progress bar is connected to this number.
Hmm.
I will say though, it is best to always use symbols and not just solely rely on color because people do
Yes.
have like
Accessibility.
color blindness,
Yeah.
accessibility,
For accessibility
and already
purposes, right?
putting it within this circle, of course, it's very obvious, but right now it's just kind of like a stylization choice.
Yeah. I like it. Yeah,
Perfect.
in close proximity. It's associated to each other. It's obviously inside, so that's awesome. I mean, I've got the website open that you mentioned earlier, actually. When you
The laws
mentioned
of UX.
aesthetic
Yes.
usability, I think it was, or one of these. So I think there's one in here that we're looking at right now, and so this is one of the resources. We'll do a section on resources later, but while we're on that topic, there, where is it? Where is it? It's in here somewhere.
Yeah, it's both. It could be also multiple laws in one. So like law of
Yeah.
proximity, law of uniform connectedness.
Hmm. Let's go
Yeah,
back
just
to
being
Figma.
able to use like shape and color to really be able to uh, make sure that your whatever screen you're playing or creating makes sense.
I'm going to do something that I do in my projects all the time, where I write super epic long mega name, and I wonder how it translates into the space. Is there like
Yeah,
a wrapping like option in here maybe?
there is a wrapping option. So Figma's kind of a learning curve here where things are hidden, especially with this new UI. If you go to typography, there is a little filter button in the bottom right, so
Yeah.
called type settings.
Okay.
And um, oh, sorry, you meant wrapping. Actually, you could just like grab this and like do that.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, done.
But
Easy.
you can, yeah. But there's this thing I want to show you. So if I
Hmm.
have it like this, but I want it to be truncated, there is an option to do that as well. So it automatically adds the dot dot dot
Oh, I
depending on
see.
like just how
Oh,
small you want it to
yeah, that's
be.
actually better, yeah, because now it's not pushing our other content around.
Yeah. Yeah, one
Cool.
thing, like small tip I would do when writing text is actually a lot of UX designers do W's because W is the widest letter, and they just do a bunch just to see like how
Oh,
wide
tricks,
can
tricks and
yes
tips. I
can
love
my
this.
type go?
Oh wow, I
I
didn't
think
know that.
like yeah, on a project I was working on, we were actually researching what is like the longest player name, like character limit for a player name. It's like common best practice in a bunch of games like 16 or 12. So let's see how many this is. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, probably gonna make this a bit longer. If that's the case, honestly, I would just make my little widget longer too.
Right, yeah, so that they actually get to see, yeah, their full name, right?
Yeah. So I guess that's one thing interesting about this. Like, actually, this can also still fill up how many characters? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, this would inform that maybe this should have been a bit bigger lengthwise.
Hmm.
But yeah, normally I would just put like super long player name.
That's what I do all the time.
Very good
But
practice to do because you don't want to just create a design and realize I have no room when there's localization or anything else.
yeah, yeah, that's
Hmm.
going to be a big one. And that's why I like symbols as well, again, more than text if I can afford to do it. I was working on a game once where we had a lot of tabs in the top of the UI. And
Hmm.
at first it was all text, and then in German, for example, those words become quite long, and so we opted to just go straight for iconography for that whole top tab bar, and it worked obviously across language barriers,
Yeah.
which was great. So we've made a
Yeah.
little
So
square here.
normally, yeah,
Little square.
actually, that wasn't supposed to happen. I'm just going to take any kind of random icon. So one cool thing about Figma, actually, Ryan, let me show
Yeah.
you. At the bottom bar there, you might see a little button that has sparkles called Actions.
Okay.
If you click on that, and if you go to Plugins and Widgets, you can
Yep.
search up icon, and someone already has like a plugin for just icons that you can just put as placeholder in here
Is it
while
like
you are like
open,
wireframing.
like Iconify, or just any of them? Does it matter?
Any of them, yeah, any of them,
Okay,
whichever
I'll
you
try this.
prefer. So as a
And then
UX designer, I'm not really thinking about the UI at the moment. So I'm just gonna be putting like placeholder icons most of the time.
okay,
Let's see if I can find a good one. But yeah, feel free to use any kind of plugin.
oh, I didn't
My
work.
favorite is the Glow plugin. Some of these plugins might not work if, yeah,
That's
some of these plugins aren't. Yeah, the
fine.
Google Material Design one isn't working for me.
Cache. I got cache. Let's go for. Oh, I like this one. This one's quite nice.
Oh, that's a good one. Oh, that reminds me of Squarespace. Not Squarespace, sorry. Cash App?
Cash App or something? Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna take it too.
Or
Thank
we
you.
can do Monopoly Money.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So whenever I get finished with like a UX design, and if icons are a part of like the client deliverable, our UI artists would make custom icons for that game.
I've done a faux pas
But
on
right now,
purpose.
yeah. Oh, interesting. Would you like to explain that faux pas?
Yeah, so red is bad. And green is associated with cash and good, and money in this game we can theoretically say is something that you're aiming to increase and be a good thing. So when I put the red in, um, I think everyone knows this one is pretty obvious. But let's say I went with that. Yeah, what would the player think?
You're in debt.
Yeah, you're in debt by 100,000. Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
So we'll go with
Yeah,
you're in
color
the
theory is a big one in UX. And what's interesting is like it's different across cultures. So in Asia, uh, their
mm,
stock graph for when things are doing well is actually in red because red is a lucky color. So there's yeah, there's a difference there. That's why one of the, I think, Apple emojis for like the stock graph going up is in red and not green.
Oh, right, right, right. Yes, I've seen the little white graph on like Slack, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, for most of the world, green is good. Green means good, and green means money. And so here in this player profile for this game specifically, we want to know like the player name, of course, and just how much money they have so they can buy their snowboards. And those are just two essential pieces of information here. And then the third essential piece of information is, of course, the level. And we have all three of those components on here.
Hmm. Might scale mine down a little. Oh, when I scale, it doesn't scale my font. That's fair.
No, yeah. So you can actually scale your font if you press K, and it'll put your cursor into the scale mode, and then you can scale your
Oh, I
font.
see. How do I get out of that? Is that always in
Oh,
scale mode now? It is. V,
yeah, you're
maybe,
on
to go
scale.
back? V and K.
Yes, V to go back.
Okay. Oh, and when I press K, it automatically puts me into the scale. I see. But the font size, will the font size, if I click it again, will it still be 30? Oh no, it's 33 now. Okay. So it has changed it as well, which is nice.
Hmm.
So I bring it down and I look and I say, oh, it's around 30 units. So I'll just round it out to
Yeah.
apparently 360, which is too high. Okay, I'm gonna.
I'm also just going to change my font style just because the font I was on didn't have it was always bold. There was no regular version. So I'm going to just lower the kind of the hierarchy of this number because I kind of want the username to be the most prominent thing on this widget. And I'm just gonna turn this into regular or then lower just
Yeah, I went with
the
lower as
size, just
well.
a tiny
Yeah.
bit. Yeah, it's a good idea.
Default robotic font. Oh, robotic font. Almost. Okay, cool. And then we just have one more
Cool.
icon and then we're sort of done, which is
Yeah.
a cool
I
little.
believe for this game, we did want to showcase like your most current achievement. So
Yeah.
that would be like the placeholder icon there. Just gonna
Oh, I
find maybe a
see.
different one. Let's see. Yeah. So in this case, our most important piece of information was level, progress towards that level, name, and of course your current currency. Let's see if I can find.
Put a class
I
icon
might
there.
just take this one actually. We'll see. But while we're doing that, I kind of do want to show just how much further we can push things in Figma. So I know the most common tools are like Photoshop and Illustrator just to get like really well rendered UI assets and actual art to skin these gray box UX design lists. But in Figma, you can actually could go pretty far with it. Some of our UI artists actually have been just using Figma instead of going directly into Photoshop just because it's faster. You can have everything in one place and it's just more convenient for them. Of course, if you need to get more like illustrative examples, you would still need to go to Photoshop.
Yeah,
Let me just
following you.
find some cool examples. Just try to find anything that isn't under NDA, which is very difficult in the games industry.
Yes, yes, which is why we're lucky we're able to do something. I'm really grateful that we can do
Yeah,
something for people
most of the
watching.
time, yeah, we would actually have a lot more case studies on our website if we were allowed to talk about everything we were making because we have been making so much stuff.
Yeah, it's wild. Blows my mind. Excited to, I'm excited to put some stuff with you guys. Yeah, this is cool. So exporting that, I've got a little sword icon. It's like my class icon, I suppose. I don't know.
Yeah,
Uh,
perfect.
so how would I? What would be the best way to export this? I guess I wouldn't export. I mean,
Yeah,
most of this I would make in Engine. For me, the even the borders and stuff. I suppose it more matters when an artist comes in and does like some sort of like
yeah,
bubbly texture on the progress bar or like
yes.
Diablo or something.
So Actually, let me grab like an example of something we have exported before. So let me, if
Yeah,
you
I'll
would
follow.
follow
I'll follow.
me,
Yep, I'll follow in.
yes. Yeah, so this modal has been stylized to be like the final version. So if I were to gray box this, this would have just been like a gray rectangle. But let's imagine some UI artist came in, stylized this to look like a glass panel. It's all perfect, and you can see the dimensions are 512 by 512, powers of 2, perfect. So in the corner there, a little small on Figma, it says export. So just click on the frame that you want, and then
I see it.
tap open export, and then you
Yeah,
can choose the type of file you want, a PNG, JPEG, and then you just click on export modal body. Um, is what I named this specific asset.
and then yeah, I've got it in my downloads folder now, so I could bring that in.
Yeah,
Ta-da!
and it was designed to be able to be 9 sliced, so you
Yes.
can in Engine you can make the modal as big as you want.
So here's an interesting thing that I often come across is um, because I can nine slice this. Does the size of the texture being say 512 in this case, uh, is it overkill? Because I could fit the same corners in this case because there's no difference in the horizontal vertical, which is intended right for a nine slice. If you're going to
Mm.
stretch, if we're actually, can we nine slice this in here to show as an example?
Unfortunately, I don't think we can. Yeah,
Oh
not in
no.
Figma. But that is a very good point that you brought up because this is a very big asset. And normally you'd like, yeah, that would cause a lot of, I guess, overload in Engine. Too many assets. Um, I think for this specific project, if I remember correctly, for some reason, if we exported it too small, it wouldn't look good in Unity for some reason. So I don't know why that happened, but you definitely don't need to make it this big. So like 512, it's already pretty big. You can just cut that down to like maybe the smallest pixel
Just
that
explaining this
it would be
quickly what we
allowed.
meant by nine slice to the viewers as well is like when you put this into your engine, typically most modern engines like Unity and Unreal, even Godot, I suppose, would have the capability of slicing this. And what happens is it retains the pixels of these corners and it stretches anything in the center slices, and it basically stretches anything that isn't the corner. So even this fill would be stretched. So if you had a texture on here, it would look pretty ugly. It would stretch whatever texture you had. Um, we can show that tomorrow as well on when we do like a sort of like live application style stuff. But yeah, that's what this nine slice means for anyone watching who doesn't know. And so what that allows you to do is you don't have to export 10 boxes for your one style for different sizes. And the reason why I was asking a question is because I could sometimes bring these corners in and then have less space, less texture memory, basically. But like you say, Annie, sometimes it doesn't work that way, and you need to have your dimensions in the sense that you want them. Especially, yeah, if you want this corner to be a 32 pixel or 64 pixel corner, it needs to stay at that scale, right? You can't scale it down. It's just not going to work. Okay, it's a shame we can't do that in Figma. I imagine there's a plugin for that. I wonder if I could
Yeah,
actually
I
find.
imagine someone must have made that at this point because oh yeah, all the plugins you see on Figma are actually made by like community members. So just anyone can make a plugin, put them in Figma, and have anyone use it. I'm sure someone must have figured that out by now. But yeah, like when we were exporting for this specific project, I can't not name, like learning how it was like a learning experience for me to work with developers as a UX designer, UX UI designer. Like how is it best to export these so it actually looks like what it should on in Engine. So like for example, this tooltip, like just cutting out that little triangle,
I
uh,
did,
so that like its final form looks like a little tooltip.
did it. I did it. So there was a
Hey,
tool.
nice.
It's not perfect because it's got some sort of pixelation going on in the corners, but
Yeah,
there is a tool. There is like a plugin, like we said. That's cool. So this is sort of what you get in Engine, and now
that's
yeah,
awesome.
we can do it on loads of different places. You've got some more stuff here about gradients, which you can do in a nine slice in some scenarios.
Yeah,
Actually, not always, but yes, this is cool because you
yeah.
can
So the
stretch.
developer I was working with, yeah, because like we had like a really long footer, but because we didn't want to just export like a super long, super big asset, we cut it down to like this little piece here so that they can just like tile it and it'll create the footer background that we wanted.
Perfect, yeah. And then we've got some tooltips. This is cool.
Yeah, and then this. we put it
Oh
like
wow,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
So because it shares the color, then you don't
yeah,
have to.
because it
You can
shares the
just
color,
you get two. You get
and
a
because
two for one.
yeah, and
Nice.
because like there are some tooltips where we're like, oh, we want it slightly to the side or
Yeah, like
slightly like
text,
this
like
way.
chat boxes and stuff, right?
Yeah, chat box exactly. So we designed this um, in the final stages. Like our UI designer would like
I should
design
write
it so
that
that
down. We should
it
definitely
could
do
be
a
reused.
speech bubble. We should do a speech bubble tomorrow.
Yeah,
That'd be fun.
yeah.
Uh,
A little preview for our viewers tomorrow. We will be doing a game jam.
yeah, we'll do some games jams for a little bit of UI for the Pirate Software games jam for anyone who was
Mhm.
into the game jam streams that we just did, where I spent 12 hours on stream at one point to
Yeah,
just to
so
ship it. Cool. That was fun.
cool. Yeah,
I
hope
did.
you
That's my
enjoyed that
first
little
Figma.
Figma
That's my
preview.
yeah, yeah. That was my first Figma. So
Wow,
you get the honor.
congrats. You did really well.
I had a good teacher. Okay.
Oh, thank you,
So
thank you.
this is all awesome. I love all these different.
Hmm.
There's so much.
Yeah, one thing about like UX design is that like you can keep iterating. Like for example, why would you have your layout on the left here? Like there must have been a reason, but it's like really fun to figure out stuff like how would this look and what would make the most sense to a player. Like um, why is there like three stats, and that's where like collaboration is a big part of this job because you're working with the game designer to figure out like okay what is the most important information, core mechanics on this site, on this like specific stage of the game. And then you're working with developers to understand like, okay, like if we were to maybe showcase like certain data, was that possible, like technical engineering wise?
Yeah.
Um, just to make this experience of like like finding like characters you want to play with like intuitive and fun and
Yeah.
just like really useful for them.
So from a UX designer's perspective, it's highly collaborative in that
Very
regard because it's
collaborative.
between all different disciplines. Even in audio, I
Hmm.
imagine in some cases, right?
Yes,
When they're
yeah,
like,
like
what?
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, no, go ahead. Yeah,
Oh, no, no, no. You bring up a really good point with audio because like that reminds me of just like feedback. So feedback is like just knowing like what you did had an effect, and that's really important in UX design, like for a player to understand, like just to know that like that when an action was successful or unsuccessful, and like audio is like a big thing that like because we're working in Figma, sometimes we forget about, but that's very important to work with audio designers. Like, hey, if I were successful in like like maybe like leveling up, like is there a sound to that, or like hey if maybe if I lost money, is there like a sound to that as well, just to get that feedback.
it's one. Actually, I'm going to write that down on my list of things as well for tomorrow. So we mentioned speech bubble and notifications. I've always had trouble with them because it's like I have a notification I need to tell the player about something. Say it's a Fatui event on a tutorial level, or they've just come across
Mhm.
something in the game for the first time, and it slides out from the right or the left or the bottom, top, middle. I don't know where it might live, but often in games I hear there's a sound associated with it, and we're creating this like almost sound language. Um,
Yes.
but it doesn't always like attract the user's attention. I found so I'm always interested in that. We can look into that tomorrow to see like what we could do there to make a working notification. I would say because every notification
Mhm.
system I've made is functional, and it has all the bells and whistles of a notification. It's animated, it's colorful, it stands off the game's sort of like color palette. It has an audio event associated to it, but I tend to there's something missing, so I'll be interested to explore that. A question I had as well. Oh, actually, a user has a quick question. When you have a game with very stylized or diegetic UI, the high fidelity handover is still done on Figma? Question mark.
Mm.
When you have a game with very stylized or diegetic UI, the high fidelity
So
handover is still done on Figma. Oh, so exporting the artwork from Figma, I think maybe.
oh yes, oh that actually reminds me, I think we did work on, I wasn't personally on the project, but there was a project where like the UI was very diegetic. So like the menu would pop out from like the character and it'd be like it looked like it was in scene and not something like this where it's like a HUD, right?
Hmm.
Um in that case, like a UI UX designer would definitely be involved, but maybe the handoff of the assets wouldn't be, and that would be more so in engine.
Hmm.
I don't know if I have a good example here actually, but uh, yeah, sometimes that would just like depending on the game, sometimes that would just be like full on. You're working very closely with like the VFX person or like the in-engine person to really work that out. Uh, and like normally you would still have that mocked up in Figma somewhere, just so that the developer you're working with has a good idea of like what is the design, what is the
Yeah.
hierarchy, and what you're imagining.
Yeah.
So that it would be a case where like the handoff is less from Figma to an engine and more like just a very collaborative effort.
Yeah. Let's scroll back down to that clear obscure. I'll use it as a quick reference from my experience in this. So, working in building games UI and my experience with a UX UI designer sort of hybrid role in the company I was in once, they had their block out sort of like what we were making to just get the language down and sort of the principles laid out and before they did their artwork. And then they did their artwork on an iteration on Figma and just gave me access to the Figma and I could right click and export the things that I needed. And when I needed to like change some of the artwork sometimes, I would often do it in Photoshop because it was something
Mhm.
I was more familiar with. But sometimes we would edit them straight in the Figma file. My question is, would you expect to say we know that there was probably a block out for say one of these UIs like the one at the bottom here with the weapons and stuff. Say there was a block out for that was like the UX design sort of grey box phase. Would you expect there to also be a Figma of this arted in Figma?
Yes, that has actually come up before, where we did have like the final asset within Figma.
Mm-hmm.
It all depends on just how you want to work
It's
because
workflows, right?
you could
Yeah.
just have yeah, you could just have the UX design in Figma and then maybe the UI artist is working in Photoshop
In Photoshop, right?
exclusively and then
Yeah.
exporting from Photoshop.
The
So it all
interesting
just
thing,
depends on how you guys want to work. Yeah.
yeah, in Unity and Unreal as well, sometimes there's even, I mean, I know there's Figma plugins now, but there was definitely for the longest time like fully importing a Photoshop file straight to a UMG, which I haven't done myself, but I've seen that it is a tool that is a workflow iteration that's awesome. We've had
Hmm.
Esticism come in and say, "Thank you for the stream, love it, learning a lot, awesome, thanks, mate." Glad it's doing great. So I had a question earlier that I want to jump back to. We were talking about feedback in the UI to know that when a user performs an action or clicks on a thing, that there's either a sound or an animation or something. Is there a way to animate? Or I know there is, but can we take a look at animating our little player card to
Yeah,
say,
for
for
sure.
example, if I was to click it, that just something would happen, or hover it even,
Hmm.
hover and click. Could we do that just like with even this
Yeah.
border or something? Be interested.
So what I would normally do, oh, see, here's a mistake that's very common. Sometimes your icons are not in frame, and if you move it around, it stays in place. So that's something I made a mistake here. So let
I've
me
got a
put that back
separate
in.
problem. See how I've got this box down here, but my
Oh,
actual artwork is
interesting.
up here, and then I've got
Yeah.
this. This is also in a box, and I don't really want it to be in a box, I guess. So these are
Yes. So you
frames,
can
right?
right click.
Yeah.
Yes, you can. These are frames. You can right click and just click ungroup, or the shortcut for that is I'm on Mac, so like Alt
Okay.
backspace.
Mine's control backspace. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Now I've just got this guy. Sweet.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll do the
And
same
this
here.
one,
Yeah.
I would just, yeah, I just honestly delete it. Some people like to keep it in a frame. I
Oh, it's gone.
personally
Yeah.
don't as
Cool.
well. I just like to keep it as a vector. But yeah, so here's one thing I don't think we went through yet is like turning this into a component. So
Okay.
at this stage, what I normally do is like turn this into a component by going to the top right, and there's like a little diamond shape called create component. There's also a shortcut for this.
When I've got
I'm
my
on
click
Mac,
tool.
so honestly, I don't remember the shortcut, unfortunately, but
Oh.
it should turn it purple. There,
Oh.
perfect.
I
Yeah.
don't know if I did it right. I need
No,
to
that's
undo.
perfect. Yeah, that's
Let me
great. That's great. No, no,
let me
don't.
check one more time.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
So
called create a variant,
create a
and that is
component.
something
I
you do
see.
want to do
And
because for
then we
this
can add a variant.
component,
Nice. Nice. Nice.
yeah,
Okay.
if we want to use this on multiple menus, it's a really great shortcut to do. And in this one, we're going to turn this one into like a hovered state. So
Okay.
on this hover state, maybe I want it to be like slightly. Let's see. Let's make it like a little light blue. Let's give it some color. Let's do that. And maybe uh, And maybe that's when I'm gonna take your little sword, and maybe that's when my little sword will appear.
Oh yeah. Oh, I
Yeah.
see. Yeah.
And then
So it's actually a state now. That. All
yes,
right. Right.
it's become a state. Yeah, and to hook that up, we would need to on the top right. So currently we're in design mode. We would go into prototype mode.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And then if you see like if you now click on the square, you would see like a little plus icon, and then I would just drag that and connect it to this bottom state here.
I
And
have
you've
on.
essentially added an interaction.
I have on drag as a trigger, and the action. Do I need to pick an action, or is there? Am I doing this wrong? I've clicked plus on the
Uh,
interactions. Is that right?
yes. Oh,
Okay.
actually, an easier way to do it is like I'm gonna delete mine for a quick sec. Click on the initial state, right?
All right. Yeah.
And then if you go to any of the edges, you'll see a little plus sign,
Oh
just
yeah.
like a blue plus sign, and I just like drag it to the state that you want it to go to. Because you
Oh, and
could
now it's got.
honestly just do it the way you did before. Yeah, but I
Now
find this way just a bit easier.
now it has a trigger. I press
I
on
get
drag.
yeah.
Oh, didn't I
So
didn't want
on
to do that
for
actually.
trigger, yeah, on trigger actually I would just do while hovering because I'm gonna turn
While
this
hovering, that's
into
the one.
a hover state. You could do it as a click, like a as a tap state, select state, but I'm
Yeah.
gonna do like a hover state instead. And animation. So there's like a bunch of animations you can do. There's like dissolve. Smart animate is one that will probably need like a deep dive, like a different session for that. But smart animate allows you to actually do like really cool animations with. But for this one, I just need a simple dissolve curve. Let's just go with a simple ease out and duration. Yeah, let's do 30 ms. And to see the animation, this would have to be inside a frame. So I'm just gonna create a quick frame. I'm gonna make it a darker frame. I'm gonna just copy and
Okay.
paste my little variant in there.
Color this. So I've got to go back to
Yeah,
design. Color this down. Or up.
yeah.
I don't
Let's.
know
I'm
what.
actually gonna turn mine a bit darker as well because I think it's a little too light.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah,
I
there
done
we
it
go.
wrong. I done it.
Nope, nope, did great. And then to preview it, you would click on this frame right here,
Uh-huh.
and you can either like shift space or just click on the little plus, the play button, the
Oh,
present
oh,
button on the top.
oh, wow, it's loaded. Oh, yeah. Doot, 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 doot. Okay.
Make hover states, you can make select states, you could get things to animate. Yeah,
Okie
it's
dokie.
pretty cool and useful software. So you could essentially like have a prototype in here and do the playtesting in Figma before you even get it into Engine. Just test something out really quick if you like. But yeah, I think we're talking about Clair Obscure, and there are some like examples of good UX and bad UX in here.
Hmm.
Love the game, by the way, but I just want
Yes.
to point out a really quick one. Accessibility is super important in UX design, and one of the things here is you really can't see what is selected, especially on this menu screen.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
think a lot of different people have a problem, but like yeah, it's really not obvious what exactly is selected on here. Um, like the darkening of the button and the slight animation is meant to be the hover state, but it's really honestly not enough contrast. So
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
one thing I immediately noticed while playing.
Yeah, so we could do something with that there. Yeah, I see. Okay, cool. What else have I got on the list here? We're doing pretty well for time. We're at an hour, and I think we did some cool stuff. Uh, okay. Just looking at my list and also messaging internally because I accidentally showed the Figma backend, which we can cut later, which is all good.
Mhm.
So let's have a look
Yep.
here. Got a little technical difficulties. Where's my list? So we have done a little introduction of ourselves. We've talked about UI, UX. Jumping back to that, I don't think we explored enough of that difference, right? Because we spoke off stream about how the game industry seems to just often refer to it as UI UX, and it's like a role that's like homogenous, but there is a large range of differences. We've experienced them today through streaming, just looking more into the UX side and then talking about, UI artists coming on afterwards. But do you want to explain a little bit about your thoughts and feelings around the differentiation between those two roles and how they stand alone?
Sure, yeah. I do personally believe that these are two very separate but very intertwined disciplines.
Mhm.
Just because like UX, your main focus is like how is that whole in-game journey? Like how does it feel to navigate like these menus, these buttons? Is it is there enough like challenge within the game? Is there enough like uh essentially like how can we make this game as fun as possible with the right amount of friction. In UX, what you normally think is like we need to remove all friction from the game so the player has a smooth experience, but what actually is happening is like we want to find delightful friction. And
Mm.
I mean by that is like we want enough challenge that the game is fun, because a game that's too easy is not going to be so fun. And a lot of what UX entails is like playtesting, is research. It's like thinking about the game through like just the systems and like how much like cognitive load are we putting onto the player as they're like navigating maybe an inventory system. And UI, on the other hand, think of it more visually. Like, what is the visual language? What are the like, the kind of typography and iconography that we want to exist? And like, what is like the visual hierarchy of like a lot of like the text, the images, and are there like animation states? So while like UX can be a bit more of like thinking about flows and systems, UI is a lot of like visual and like color theory and stuff like that. But they are both very intertwined with each other, because an example is as I was working on like button and like hover states on the UX side, and when it was going into the UI side, we still wanted to make sure that the buttons were like accessible, or like you could clearly tell that this was a tappable object within a game. Even after we've put in all the color, all the art, and the stylization, the UX considerations are still there. But in
Yeah.
terms of like when you're like applying for a job, like there could be very different like skill sets and requirements for that,
Yeah.
for
Awesome.
each of those.
Yeah. My experiences in past companies has mostly been like, because small companies, like double A, working sort of like 30 to 40 man teams, would the UI and UX sort of department. It's funny. It's always like the thing that people did last, which was
Hmm.
silly. But we did actually have someone on from the beginning. We actually went through a few different hands as well. And what we noticed is one person would do both UI and UX at that time, and so we'd have one artist designer come in and sort of give one flavor to the game, and then as the hands got passed over, it was like, well, actually, this will work a lot better in like flat UI design. So they'd remove all the flavor, and then we'd have something else that we're working with, and people would look back at the old one and be like, wow, that was so amazing. And then the other one would come back in on contract and change it all again. But I think that that's a thing that I liked about working in a team like UX is Fine. It's like those roles, um, they do bleed over a lot, but there's people that are the visionaries behind like the certain parts, and so you get these real consistent and like just like um, just working sort of like products that come out of it, rather than what one of my experiences in past studios has been like back and forth and back and forth. And so when that's one person doing it, it's like the judge, jury, executioner.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's nice to have a team around it, and so different roles taking on like 100% of the creativity and thought process of the two disciplines being like really important, because I guess yeah, if you're 50% on both, I think you're going to miss a few things, right? So it's
Yeah.
really not really nice to have both. And I do
Yeah.
implementation, so me sitting there thinking like I'd love to learn UX design and UIR and then do implementation. It's like you um, could do that in a small team, but it's
Yeah.
prefer to work in a team.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. It's just you're gonna be like loading and carrying a lot of work.
Yes, and I'm sure there's people in our team actually that do that quite often.
Yeah, I know
different
it's very
projects.
interesting, because like you're absolutely right. Smaller teams tend to combine the two. So
Hmm.
when they're hiring, it's like UX and UI. I know a lot of like UX designers, very prominent ones in the industry, were very much against that. But unfortunately, that's just how companies are working nowadays. Like we know we want someone that can do many things because we just want to hire one person instead of two or like a team, which
Yeah,
can have its drawbacks. But it just goes to show like just how intertwined UX and UI are, because
yeah.
there's definitely similar principles, but
Yeah, I see it a
UI
lot
does,
on
yeah,
I see it a
yeah,
lot on LinkedIn, right? Like LinkedIn is
for
always
sure.
UI UX designer, and it always begs me the question: it's like, do you do UI art at that point? Because I can't tell. You have to go obviously dig in a bit because it's difficult to
Hmm.
know because it's got that sort of like homogeneous nature. It's like they could just be a UI
Hmm.
designer. Um, Speaking
Yeah,
about these heroes of
exactly.
UI and UX that you just sort of mentioned briefly there, it leads us nicely into our one of the segments that that had lined up, which is to look at some cool resources. So we've looked at the tools of the trade. One of the cool resources I wanted to look at was the laws of UX. So I can bring it up on my screen
Mm.
quickly, and I can share
Yeah,
it with
that'd be
you. And
great. Let's show
you,
everyone.
yeah, let's show people this one, and I'll stream to you on Discord so that you can see where I'm at, and we can sort of then it's a bit easier to discuss. Um, okay, so this is a cool site. In fact, there's a couple of other cool things, and I'll just switch my cam over to me here. Check this out. This is a pack of cards that you can grab, and it comes with, and it's this website, but it's this website in like card form. So we spoke a little bit about, I think we spoke a little bit about this cognitive load today. So on the back, it's got like a whole load of details. I literally have these on my desk, and there is just a website for this as well. So let's jump back to the website. This be the website.
Yeah, this
I
is the
guess
website.
we can click on these. It's got cool little animations and some takeaways and the origins of it. They've also got a book. I've got both the first and second edition of the book. Um, I tell you, for anyone watching, watching this as a VOD or watching right now, my I have to say when I was introduced to doing this a lot more full time, and I got recommended this by one of the guys we worked with, whose name I forget. Sorry, sorry to him. Um, yeah, he recommended me this. I read it and I immediately leveled up. I read the book and I was like, wow, so much of this just makes psychological sense. Like as human beings, this is just how we interact with things, and a lot of it was to do with the patterns that we just as humans in our brains just working in patterns, and we're just pattern recognition machines, and we like to compartmentalize things, and and our brains make things simpler for us. We already have a lot of these biases, I guess, like just or learnings experience to build up the way that we interact with things. So whether that comes to what I liked about the book is whether that comes to things at a shopping mall, or a billboard advert, or how a car works, or a microwave, or any other device that you might use. So many of the things are sharing these fundamentals, and that's what all of these great or in this case UX and psychologists, sort of like designers over the years, even with their names on them, like Fitzlaw, just quantifying those into actual theories through research, through their own research. Right, I loved it. I love this book. It leveled me up a lot, and I refer to it a whole bunch when I'm in a team environment. I tend to forget about it when I'm working solo, um, which is a shade on myself. But um, yeah, which
Actually,
one is it
I
that
have a
yes?
question. I
Mm,
have a question, Ren. Do you think that because you've studied or like looked through like that book at those cards of yours so much, like you are unconsciously art like you already know exactly like what is the best way to, I guess, um like create
yeah,
things in a way
yeah,
that's UX? But yeah, there's
yeah.
just times you don't know the exact like law, but you know like it's something that
Exactly
works.
right. Yeah, exactly. It's like second nature um, after you've put it into action, I would say. So reading the book is one thing, and then putting it into action, just to solidify those principles. So um, even just prototyping a UI from something, or just your own ideas, and being like, how am I going to lead a player through this menu? Just a typical like front page menu of a game, and everything we talked about. So some of the things that just come to mind all the time, every time, on that subject of like just being second nature now, is the peak end rule is one of the ones that I always just have in my mind as a game designer as well, because I want the person to come out of the experience being like, oh wow, yeah, there was this moment in there that I really remember, and the very end, at the end, I was either wanting more or I had a good time, so that's like what I remember. And so the peak end rule always
Mm,
sticks with me, and the aesthetic usability rule, because many a time I made a good looking UI, like we just saw a block out UI, which doesn't people are just going to enjoy it a lot more and have a better taste in their mouth, or memory of it when it's aesthetically pleasing too. And so those two always come to mind a whole bunch, and then all these other ones that I don't even need to scroll down, but
mm,
like, yeah,
yeah.
proximity, scale and size of a button, like, or the hierarchy of it just being like the most striking element on a page to draw your attention for like a CTA, like a call to action. All these little things definitely do just naturally sit back of mind freely and happily. And I love that. Cognitive load as well, like just as I'm designing, even in gameplay, because it applies to so many things. Like if I'm even making, it's sort of tangential, but even if I'm making like a thumbnail for a YouTube video, or I'm making a trailer for the games jam I've just done, like everything kind of, it informs so much of what I do now as a creative process for other people to enjoy an art or an experience. It really does just bleed into everything I kind of do, even meetings. Even like in
Yeah,
meetings,
exactly. Yeah. No, I'm glad you said that because like everything in life can be UX'd in some way.
yeah.
Um, I don't. If you want to go back to Figma real quick, I had a really funny example when I was talking with our fellow UX designers. So we usually have this thing every week where we talk about UX in our daily lives and our games,
Oh yeah.
and like this oven. I mean, let me give the question to you. How do you think one would be able to like open and use this oven? Like, what would they need to do first?
I would click on one of the corner symbols to pick a hob, and then slide the power bar to turn the hob up.
So actually, what you need to do first is click this power button on the far
Okay,
right.
fair. Yeah.
And then you can, yeah, so that's just one area where it's like it wasn't very like intuitive at first glance.
Hmm.
Being like making everything new and like touchscreen isn't always the best choice for certain things.
Yes,
And one of the also like poor UX designs of this stove is the fact that this stove um, is so close to this button. Every time I have this on, I almost
that's
burn my
hot.
finger when I try to
Yeah,
when I
yeah,
try to
I
turn it off.
bet.
So that's just one
Yeah.
example of like UX is everywhere, even in our daily lives.
There's a really famous one that I like, the cat's image. Uh,
Yes.
so someone makes a simple and intuitive three cat UI, and this is how our users go and use it.
Hmm.
Is
Yeah.
another popular
This is
one.
yeah, this is why as like game developers, playtesting is so important because you can have all of these theories and laws of UX in your mind while making the game, and then when you play test it, you realize, oh no, they misunderstood so many things, and I need to fix it because
Yeah,
I didn't empathize well enough with my players.
exactly. Oh,
Yeah, this is
yeah. I'm just
this is
now
the reason why I love UX.
scrolling through these images now, and I'm like, this cup is a problem.
Yes, exactly why UX research is so important.
Yeah, I see it on this page
Playtesting definitely
actually.
is key.
So when I was scrolling back through this wildcard earlier, and you were sort of introducing yourself, I noticed, yeah, all of this like theoretical like background work that leads into um, how we approach this. And so it's a wild amount of work, and for our people watching on streams, I guess there's a takeaway of like, if you're not working with a bigger team, you don't necessarily always need to do this level of stuff. Like, so for me, for example, I'll often just jump straight into engine, and I'll just start blocking this out inside the tool that I'm used to, which in this case is UMG, in the same sense of like block outs and sort of like dot work. In fact, I can bring one up real quick and show you what I mean. I showed you this yesterday. UI stream. Luckily, my PC loads pretty quickly now. But yeah, this I don't know if I can open these bigger. Yeah, this image here, I've got something similar, like just gray background kind of works. And so I think for me, I'm always curious, like it's cool for portfolio if I was to create some stuff like this. It's not really my major wheelhouse in terms of implementation. But for those interested, yeah, and especially being sort of like a Swiss Army knife in the industry of sort of rising independent teams, I think it is probably really nice to have examples of this stuff in your sort of portfolios and things, which segues me on nicely in a second after I show this. So this is something that we built on stream. Just got to find the right episode. This one. So I laid this out in that kind of block out sense where I've just got like shape language and barely any color or shape and form. I don't know if it's streaming to you still, but we took a look at this yesterday, right? Briefly.
Yeah.
This, when I look at this and then I look back at sort of the website thing, like I kind of do it all hand in hand, but obviously it takes a lot longer because I'm not just playing with shapes. So I've definitely learned something like really valuable today with the Figma side. If we ever get the chance, putting some art in this would be really cool, and maybe we could one day do it for
Yeah,
the little game that we're doing. But
for sure.
I wanted to. Oh, my screen's gone completely now. Let's. Where were we? We were. Oh, it didn't show that to to my streamers because I didn't actually have that screen shown. Here we go. This is what I was talking about. We built this on stream. Yeah. For those who are wondering what I was just talking about, this is what I was talking about. Sort of like blocking out in Unreal in a similar sense. I'll close that down
Yeah, I
quickly.
think
One of the Oh yeah, go on.
oh, just real quick, yeah, that one of the benefits of like doing like blocking out like a flow is just you kind of can understand like the I guess like the continuity or like the flow in its entirety of like how um, or like maybe
Yes,
the number of steps it would take for a player to get something done. Because like one
yeah,
of the biggest frictions for a player is like I want to do something, but it's taking me like 5 clicks to even find something I need. And just having it all laid out will help you pinpoint where that friction can be. So
I
that's
have
something
to
really
I
useful
have
as
to
a
agree.
designer to know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on an actual full game, absolutely. Because I'm just like prototyping, right? I'm not making like full experiences, but without these like tiles of every screen and the interactions that go between them, and sort of like the lines that are drawn between each for the sort of user journey, it's really difficult to get that like macro sort of image of the flow of the game when you're just doing it all in engine. So sometimes I've had to do
Hmm.
that in retrospect, and I wish I'd have just started off with like these are all the screens that we're going to make. I've actually got an example. I don't know if I've got
I
my
think our one of our viewers has an example from Clair Obscure is the trouble
Mhm.
finding the lumina, and I completely
Yeah, they
agree.
mentioned
It's
that.
a
Yeah,
little bit hidden. Yeah. So just how many steps it takes to actually equip what you want and find what you need.
yeah. Why am I not able to find? That's a shame. I had a Miro. I don't have it open, sadly, or I don't have access to it anymore. It's a shame. Can I find the exfil Miro, please? I cannot. That's a shame. I worked on a game where I did like day one. I jumped onto the project. They were like, "We really want you to do a lot of the UI," and actually, one of the first things I did was just make screenshots of all of their pages and just laid them out. Just to get a real nice idea of how much UI there was and how many screens
Yep.
we were working with. In fact, I did it for guards as well recently. So we had these guys on stream. And so you can see here, this is like every portion of the game: the menu, the
Hmm.
lobby, the game HUD, the mission complete section, places we didn't see when we were playing. We did a playtest, and then some bits that we didn't see again because we didn't finish the game, and this is sort of like the end of the game. But looking at all the screens and sort of like here we had, I think we had Brian come on and sort of mention like just a couple of like things off the top, which were like, where should I go first on this screen? This button is red and looks bad. Maybe I
Hmm.
shouldn't press that. But like the intentions were like, no, this is the
Yeah.
one you have selected. This is the important button and stuff like that. And just like a lot of overload there. And we had like a bunch
Yes.
of
Like where
different,
would my eye like land first? I wouldn't even know.
yeah, yeah. And so there was just little things there, and then we had some stuff in game like this. Hierarchy was really odd. Um, you have an objective, but it's kind of funny, subdued. It is subdued down underneath like this other element that is less important than the actual mission. This is like an
Yes.
ongoing 5-star rating. We did decide on a sort of redesign, but we never got round to it. I can't remember where we put that redesign as well. Yeah, here it was. It was like, let's put the threat level in the top left as like maybe
Hmm.
like a diamond. I think this was the design from D-Rock, like something similar to that, just off onto the side, and then keep your objective big and obvious in the top right. And then another thing we noticed was that like we didn't notice when our allies were going down, so we're like maybe we just increase the hierarchy of that, um,
Yeah.
and actually have a slide out when, because it flashes, but it obviously wasn't capturing the attention enough, so we had this slide out. And one of the main things this game had was you didn't know when you could hear enemies behind you with like footsteps, but it just wasn't enough. You were constantly dying from things behind, so we created this danger close indicator.
Mm.
And so we did that on stream. That was fun, and we sort of were inspired a little bit like some of Fortnite's radial stuff were pretty cool. Um, and for enemies in like epic danger states, there's so many games have this like glow or glint, that we went with something like that as well. We did all that on stream.
Yeah.
We had these.
Yeah.
We
I
ended
like
up.
so like just to point out like how
Mm,
intertwined game design is with UX, because
mhm.
um yeah, like you mentioned, there's a lot of overlap between all these disciplines, and UX is one is almost supports almost every single discipline because it's just so important.
Yes, yes. So everyone comes to you at some point to explain some part of the game, and then the game changes, and I bet there's some journeys there. So um, that was going to say lead me on nicely to so we were looking at the resources, but we were talking about this this idea of sort of having a portfolio. Do you have any like really nice portfolios we could look at that we could use as a reference for
Oh,
anyone
that's
looking to break into that career, right? They're interested, we're all interested in UI UX. In particular for me, like UX design, I really like to see um, some portfolios on that end, but also we should look at some UI portfolios as well if you have any in mind.
mhm. Oh, that is actually a tough one because a lot of the ones that I was really inspired by, of course, they've
Hmm.
actually privated them. So this is a common thing among designers that
Hmm.
every once in a while we'd want to redo our portfolios, and we just they'll be gone from the internet as you know it for a while
Yeah.
before they pop up back up again. But I think like we could just go in general. There is a really good website called Best Folios, and
Portfolios.
this is more like general UX, so it's not specifically for games. But I think one thing I can really point out with all of the portfolios featured on Best Folios is that you need to UX your portfolio.
Yeah.
Basically, so the one down there, like Shaquille, like all of these actually, you
Oh no.
immediately see the oh no, an ad. You immediately see the projects, and that is something you want to do as a UX designer, like or any kind of designer really. Like we want to like what is the least amount of clicks so we can get to your actual projects.
Yeah, it's
And
thinking about
one thing, exactly,
think
yeah,
about the intended user
like
behavior. And the intended user behavior here is to see your
a
works
recruiter.
and then think
Yes.
about recruiting you, right?
Yeah,
So yeah,
and your
top.
main target audience would be like your main demographic are recruiters and hiring managers. And what
Hmm.
is their goal? To see your work. And you want to make that as smooth as possible. If you need to password protect any kind of project, make sure that's easily accessible somewhere.
Yeah.
For games specifically, I know I pivoted from a general tech user experience design role to a games user experience design role. And
Hmm.
like my biggest recommendations was to just get your hands dirty and just make a game. Maybe find like a game jam, either do one on your own, but I would suggest like finding people you can work with so you can get that like team collaborative experience and feel, and just get those projects onto your portfolio and really talk through about like the reasoning of why you did things a certain way. Like, why did you lower the amount of navigation? Is that helpful? Was that helpful to your players in enjoying the game and finding what they want? Um,
Yeah.
like, did you do any kind of player testing after to see if like your hypotheses for making like a more intuitive menu bar correct? Just being
Yeah.
able to talk through about like your reasoning as well is super
So,
important. But I recommend Best Folios and yeah, Behance as well. That
yeah, this
could be a
one's
really
my
great
favorite.
place to really showcase your work. I
So,
love going on Behance. Is that how you
yeah.
pronounce it? Behance or Behance?
I guess it's got this element here that makes, yeah.
Great.
I guess I've always called it Behance, but yeah, Behance sounds. Here we go. Game design. I always go here, and then there's always a lot of mobile, but sometimes you'll find, and it's not letting me look decently now, but for example, there was one I was like Behance Halo UI. So sometimes what we have is similar to what I've been doing on my streams, which is like recreating an inspired work or a homage to something, right? Or an homage to
Hmm.
something. And so a lot of times I'll see like redesigns of UI, um, which are a great way to like showcase your talent without actually having a project. If you're looking to get hired or create a portfolio and you don't have any large teams to work with, like we were just saying, is like get into game jam prototyping, or this is a cool way I guess I see of doing it, and it's something that I've been doing a lot lately. Is like I'd love to go and recreate this. In fact, one thing I tried to do was actually email these guys doing these redesigns, and I need to do this a bit more and get some actual get some hooks when I'm fishing there, but like get someone to actually get back to me and be like, yeah, please, that'd be awesome to see this in action. Like my redesign of something in action would be awesome. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like redesigns could be a really good way. You just need to be careful because there are
hmm,
definitely design constraints when you're working on a game. Like the developers definitely might have had some like maybe technical constraints for a reason why they couldn't do something.
yes,
So like just maybe like maybe a little preface at the beginning of your little project case study intro, like, oh, I don't have all the full context, but this is how I would redesign it.
is how I would
Like
redesign.
there
Yeah,
are
sometimes.
moments I
Oh yeah, go on. Sorry, moments. Oh, hello. We may have lost all connectivity.
to create UIs
Oh, we're
really
back.
well.
I lost connection there. So the last thing that we mentioned was sometimes we don't have the full context to a page
Yeah,
when we're.
to a game. Oh, no worries. Do you want me to repeat that?
Yeah, sure, because it cut out for me. Yeah, quite badly.
Oh, no. Okay. All good. Yeah. So, like when you're doing, I guess, redesigns to be put on your portfolio, just keep in mind, maybe have like a little blurb of like, oh, I don't have the full context of the development team when doing this redesign, because what we've encountered when like uh, during like the game development is that like sometimes there'd be like either technical constraints or like maybe a branding constraint where like we couldn't do something and that was
Hmm.
why it wasn't in the game,
Yeah.
that like anyone redesigning this from the outside wouldn't be able to know. So just like keeping in mind like it's not because hey this game development team's incompetent. No, it's because there were
No, no.
constraints that prevented them from like
I
doing
think it's about
something
being
or like
being
creating
humble,
something in the
right?
game.
Being humble with it.
Yes, be
Never.
humble, be a nice person.
Yeah. Don't put.
Within the
Don't
games
punch
industry, the
down.
games industry is small. yeah, games
Yeah,
industry is small. We're all trying to do our best. Just be nice,
exactly.
and that will get you far.
It will, yeah, exactly. And I think we're trying to learn we're trying to learn from each other and sometimes learn from the best or find the best and discover people. So
Mhm.
that's what I like
Exactly.
a lot about our website. It's just like it has that learning from the best, seeing some of the most sort of like animated and just visually appealing UI I've seen. I I
Hmm.
love it. I can't believe I got a job here, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm really grateful as well. Yeah.
Yeah, no, doing all
Oh,
this.
and like you mentioned, like learning from the best.
Mhm.
Like maybe pick someone in the industry who you really look up to, or find someone who has a job that you want.
Yeah,
Look at how
mentorship.
like they've curated their how have they curated their experience to really set them up for success for a job like this. Maybe reach out for a coffee chat really kindly. Be mindful of their time, of course, and like just see like how did they present themselves on their resumes and portfolios. Like what can you learn from them is really useful if you're trying to get into this sort of work.
Yeah. We have Balloon Bot in our chat here saying, I have a big collection of UI found on Behance. Yes. Yes, there is a big one. So we
Yeah,
got Behance, we got best what was it?
best folios.
Best
Yes,
folios, yeah.
that one is
Another
more general UX, not specifically for games. Games UX is one where I find that there's not as many resources as like general
yeah.
big tech UX, but
So
it's
one of
there.
there's another website I often go on. I think I stopped streaming to you, but I'll throw my stream back on quickly for you. Here's another one that I often recommend to people. So we have
Yes,
here.
game UI database.
Why does this keep going over to that screen? Yeah, we have Game UI database. And so let's say today I want to do a title screen uh, and now I can just have a little browse through here. An amazing resource. I really liked this game. So um, we can we can
Yeah.
take a look at this. What's this visualizers? Haven't seen this before.
Yeah, in our workflow, actually, like this is a really good place to get like competitor reference. So, for example, if we're creating
Hmm.
like a fighting game, or for example, like what are some other fighting games and how do they like organize their menus, organize their like inventories and stuff. And it's really useful to just see all the UI here in one spot. Big shout out to Ed. I believe he's the one who created this. And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I think I've seen him on yeah, so in regards to other places we can go to get involved in UI UX, there are a couple of Discord groups. I got
mhm.
invited to
There is
one, yeah, there's UI Peeps. You can go find these
yeah. There's
guys.
also we can fix it in UI.
Yes, we've got that one here as
Um,
well. So
there's
it's,
the games user research one. I don't believe
I
I'm
haven't got
actually
that
in
one.
that, but there's actually
Yeah.
a there's a UX research conference, and one
Ah,
of the people who I was really inspired by is actually her name's Celia.
okay.
Celia Holden, and she
F-
has a few books on UX in games and the psychology behind them, and that really resonated with me as like a psychology grad. So
Mm,
it's
yes.
been really useful for me as well.
Yeah, I'd love to go to one of these and there'll be a lot of decent talks and stuff. Or I imagine some of these talks will be held on like YouTube as well.
Yeah,
So
they do have a few posted on YouTube actually. If you go to YouTube and search up Games User Research
yeah.
Conference, so hold on. Also, yeah, GDC was the games conference I went to.
Hmm.
I got sponsored to go, and then that really did change my life because I got this job because of it.
Oh, nice.
Um, I don't think those are the
Congrats.
ones. Let me see. Oh yeah, GRUX. Is that it? Do.
Yeah, we've got Grix Online here, Stacey
Games User
Jenkins.
Research Summit.
Yeah, the summit stuff, yeah.
Let me, if you can hear my typing, excuse me,
That's
Game
fine. Yeah.
UX Summit, yes. Game UX Summit 2020 online. They have a few things posted.
Yeah, I see it here. Oh, it's
Yeah,
Bungie, but
yeah.
I guess
They
not
should
that.
have a whole, yeah, you have to dig around, but there's a lot of really good resources online.
Hmm. Yeah, it's impressive. Like a lot of this stuff, I haven't touched on. So, um, loving seeing this sort of stuff. I often jump over, obviously, to GDC is a good one. For obviously our friends watching.
GDC is a
Uh,
very good one. Yeah.
yeah, there's also like SIGGRAPH, although that's often about tech. I actually went to a
Hmm.
SIGGRAPH live, and wasn't as good talks for me on sort of like design side as it would be for like tech app and sort of
Hmm.
iterations or inventions in the industry. Hey, look, there's us.
Hey, that's us.
That's us right there.
uh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's been awesome. I think we're at the. Let me check here. Time we're at. We have hit 1 hour 30. So, did I have anything left on here? So, we had wrap up on questions, but we're good there because we answered a few of those from people that jumped in, and yeah, should we say we're just looking
Yeah,
forward to
that
tomorrow?
sounds yeah, sounds good. And then last parting words, really recommend the book. Let me see if I can get to it. So the design of everyday things is a very common one. That's very like everyday life UX, but don't make me think is also a very good like UX intro. And then if you want to really get into like games UX specifically, uh, there's Celia Holden's book, The Neuroscience of UX. Yeah, The Gamer's Brain, um, how neuroscience and
Hmm.
UX can impact, yeah, video game design. That's a very good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are all very useful resources, but basically just make a game, get started, have fun.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of things to explore when you're actually making a game. It's like, um, will surprise you between all your menus and your actual HUD elements and in gameplay side of things, especially if you make something complex. And we're going to actually
Mhm.
explore into that tomorrow. So we're doing a games jam, the Pirate Software game jam. I'll bring it up quickly. I haven't started this yet. It's been on for a while. The top hit is drama. Um, Pirate Software game jam. Game jam number 17. The theme is only one. It can be interpreted in a lot of different ways, and the ways that the one way that we are going to interpret it is you can only have one UI at a time. And so we'll have some sort of method for the user to pick a UI, and we'll have a crack at making that on stream tomorrow with Annie. You've graced us with your talents to help us do that. So I'm excited for that.
I will I will do my best.
It's going to be fun, yeah. And I'll sit there on sort of the side of the screen with my display on, sort of like building the tech, while Annie will do some stuff through Figma for design to get us to something by the end of the stream. That'll be sort of like 1.5 hours to 2 hours, and I'll probably carry on with it afterwards as well. We've had Balloonbot in chat, and just before I miss it, is the Pocket Mentor for video game UI UX. Another recommendation. This looks cool, yeah. Very cool front page as
Very
well.
cool. Yeah. Oh, I've seen this.
Yeah, Simon Brewer. Yeah. So it matches one of these other ones that we were just looking at. Don Norman. No. Do more content together. This kind of content is very useful, and you guys are very talented. Thanks very much, Thiago. I love it when we are able to provide value to our fans, to our viewers, to people in our industry, to our space. Like one of us, join us on this journey. And yeah, I'm hoping tomorrow goes really well because that will be a good setup for like having more of people from UX is fine, even people from outside. Like, for example, we could have some of our guests from our chat join me on stream to do. I could host some cool stuff there where we jam some things together and really expose people to each other and create a little community around it.
Yeah,
Another community.
possibilities are endless.
They truly are. Yeah, so we'll catch back up tomorrow on this games jam. We'll do it 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. We'll have fun with that. I hope everyone's enjoyed this stream. It's going to be obviously on a VOD. I've got to do some editing for it, so it's going to be private for a little while. Um, but it'll be up by tomorrow, I'm sure. And so, Annie, thanks so much for joining us, and I hope you enjoyed it too.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. This was great.
Yeah, it was really fun. I did my first Figma, so I'm hyped.
Yippee.
Yeah. All right, I'll see you tomorrow.
All right. See you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks to you.
Bye.
Thanks to you too. Bye bye. Okay, so for everyone on the stream, I will wrap it up here, and I will say I am blurry. So let's just bring that back in focus. Hello. This camera. I had to end on my camera just not working. So on that note, I will just say bye-bye in sort of a blurry sense, and see you tomorrow for a stream 9 till 11. And hopefully my camera works a little bit better that time. Peace. Thanks very much. See you soon.